channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchid, and today I thought I would take you on a little tour of all my spikes at the moment because I have a few. We'll start up here on my balcony because this is where most of them are, and a little guest appearance by young Frankie here, who is up to mischief, I'm sure. Frankie, what are you doing? Frankie, come here. He's recovering very well from his distal humerus operation, and yeah, it's almost like nothing ever happened. He's doing really well and very active, so very happy about that. But yes, let's not waste any more time and get started. Now, out of the Cattleyas, I've got this guy here. So this one is a really good example of one that I did have downstairs on my back deck, and it grew a lovely big growth. This one here, which did not flower, but this one certainly has. And this is LC Tri-Star Bouquet with 3 beautiful big buds there. And this is a division that I got last year, and it's a first flowering for me. A much longer flower spike than I'd anticipated, and it's a little bit awkward because it sort of sticks out a bit from the actual plant, so I've had to be very careful not to knock it and get it caught in other plants, but I think it should be blooming in the next week or so, hopefully. So I can't wait to see the flowers on this one. And up here we've also got one that we have seen in flower before. This is LC Chung Fong Smile Cluster, with 4 buds on this spike, and we've got another spike developing in there, I believe. I think there's a little bit of swelling down there in that sheath. So, a slight interruption. Frankie knocked over one of my plants and smashed a pot. Yep, so he got a right yelling at. He got scolded big time. And yes, now he's just having a bit of a sulk under there. But yes, he's fine. Plant's fine. Pot's not so fine. These things happen. Back to the orchids. Oh, poor Frankie. He never gets yelled at. He gets away with almost everything, but God, I was so mad. I yelled at him really badly. I feel really bad now, but he can sulk there for a little minute longer. Anyway, let's return to the plants and let Frankie rest a little bit there. But we finished off over here. We had a few buds developing here, and I'm pretty sure there's a spike developing in that sheath there. And I think that's it over here. This is LC Ida Elizabeth, and we did have some buds developing in this sheath, but they stalled. And when I peeled back these the sheaths back down here, you can see all this blackness that I found under there. Now it's all dry, and it's certainly not spreading anymore, but obviously there was some sort of infection that was developing under those sheaths, and that's a lesson learnt for me. I will be peeling all the sheaths back early now. Now over here there's not too much happening, just a few sheaths. I've got a nice sheath here on my Owanagara apple blossom, and I think it's a double sheath. There's a sheath inside that sheath as well, but not much else. Now my Cyclopsis does have something developing, so it's got this new growth, but let me see if I can get it in the right light. Do you guys see this? Now look, it's probably a new growth, but do you see it's a bit round? The growths on this previously have come out quite flat, so I still hold a little glimmer of hope for a flower spike. And you know what, I'm just dying to see this guy flower. I've had him for a year and a half at least now, and I've just been waiting patiently since it was a seedling. It's grown 4 new growths for me, plus this one coming out here, and it's time, darling. It is time to flower. But anyway, it's a lot happier up here than it was down on the back deck, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, time will tell, but a little bit of hope there, a little bit. Now moving over here, all these oncidiums are developing really nicely, but Oncidium Sweet Sugar, the yellow dancing lady, has a spike. Now this is another one that developed this bulb back here and didn't flower, and this is the one that developed up here on the balcony. It grew very quickly, and it's developing that spike now, but it is a lot more established. When I repotted this about a year ago, I waited a bit too long, so I got this plant from an orchid show in flower, and when I repotted it, it was just a mess. The root system was horrible. It was gone. These bulbs were completely shriveled up to nothing. And you can see they've retained their wrinkles, but they have plumped a bit back up. But yeah, so this might be a sign of recovery, but also probably a sign that it's gotten enough light now. So yay! It's a beautiful bloom off this plant. So and it's a very typical dancing lady flower. So hopefully that'll be a nice branching beautiful display. Next door we've got Mr. and Mrs. Twinkle. So these are my 2 twinkles. This is one that I've had for a little while and has flowered for me last year, but I got it just as the spikes were emerging, and it flowered for me. It took about 6 months for those spikes to develop and bloom. And now it is spiking for me again. So this plant is just amazing. It's doubled in size, and I've had a look now, and pretty much every growth has 2 spikes. So you can see 1, 2 on this one here as well. It's a bit hard to show you with just one hand, but there is definitely another spike developing in there. Here as well, we've got a spike here. We've got another spike there, and yeah, even this little one here, you can see a little spike. And there is one on this side as well, which might be a little bit difficult to show you, but yeah, I am super happy. It's going to be an absolutely amazing display. There's at least 8 spikes that I've counted on here already, and so yeah, I can't wait, but it's a long way from blooming. Yeah, it's a 4 to 6 month wait until those blooms develop, so sit tight, guys. But this is my new Twinkle that I got, when was it, September last year, and I have named her Mrs. Twinkle, but this is Pink Profusion, and so Mr. Twinkle has yellow flowers. This one, you can see in size it's a lot smaller, and that might just be because it's a younger plant, but it was actually a lot more sensitive to drying out than the other one. You can see a lot of leaf tip dieback and stuff that I've chopped off previously, and there were periods where I accidentally let it dry out for a day and it didn't tolerate that very well, but you can see there's 2 little spikes developing on this one. That's all I've seen on this one so far, and they're very small spikes. I'll put it next to this one so maybe we can compare. You can see the spike on that compared to this. It's this one's looking a lot stronger, and this one looks very flimsy, so hopefully it develops, you know, still nicely, and it's not a sign of weakness or anything. And over along this wall we've got a few things developing. This is Bollara Matthias Glamour with a beautiful but very wonky, wavy flower spike developing. But the flowers on this are just really stunning. And we've got how many blooms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at least. So yes, not the prettiest spike, but I know the display is just going to be beautiful. And next to it we've got a Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium that I actually got in bloom last year, but when I repotted it, I lost one of its back bulbs and it only had 2 bulbs, so it's just grown this new bulb, which is pretty impressive considering it only had 1 previous cane. But I think as a result of just trying to establish, it's only got 2 flowers, although it only had 2 flowers last time as well. But yeah, it's a cute little bloom. And over here, this one I actually got in the same haul as the other one, and this is a magenta Dendrobium with 4 bloom spikes and really beautiful blooms on this one as well. And over here we've got Dendrobium Temesuk Princess, one of my favourite Dendrobium blooms actually, and it's a very simple bloom, but it grows on quite big canes and a much longer spike compared to the other 2 that we just saw. You can see it's actually still developing there, but it's growing nice and straight upright. It should be a really nice display. Now I've brought a few of my Oncidiums inside, and my friend that went overseas donated this little plant stand to me, which I really like actually. It's a really pretty little display. It only holds 3 big pots, but yeah, I've got my Sherry baby up the top here, which is developing really nicely, but it's got 4 flower spikes, and I moved it inside because one of them actually got snapped off. I think maybe it was this one here. You can see it just broke off there but continued growing from a side branch there. But yeah, the spikes on this are a little bit flimsier than your bigger Oncidiums, so I thought it'd be a bit safer inside, especially some of the days here have been a bit windy, but you can see how it branches out, and buds are developing on that spike, and yeah, the others are going really nicely too. And down the bottom here we have Oncidium Charles M. Fitch. I think it's a Miltassia maybe, and it's got this spike developing nicely. And another one, where is it? Down here. There we go. So it did actually grow 4 new pseudobulbs, so this is another one which I can't see a spike on, and one on the other side which I also haven't seen a spike on, but yeah, so I'm not sure why only 2 of the bulbs have decided to spike, but there's still time, maybe it'll still develop, but for now 2 spikes on this one should be nice. This is my Oncidium that looks like a big pink spider. Hi Frankie. We've made up, so yeah. I can't stay angry at him too long. Anyway, yesterday he also chewed off my new growth on the Laelia purpurata I recently repotted. He is my biggest orchid pest. Aren't you, honey? Alright, well, there's not a whole lot happening out here, but I do have a couple of spikes to show you, and I would love your opinion on something I think could possibly be a spike. Here we've got Howiara lava burst with 3 beautiful spikes on it, all facing opposite directions, which makes it not a space saver at all, and I kind of wish I'd staked it up now a little bit, although I don't think it would have the same effect if I did stake it up. So anyway, it's got its own little spot here, and you can see the red colour starting to come through, so that'll look quite pretty. And got another Howiara as well. This is Howiara Chansey Lovely with just the one spike, but I think this one still has a chance to spike. You can see down the bottom here, this growth started developing before I saw the spike, so I thought it wasn't going to spike, but it has. And you can see this one is kind of doing the same thing, so yeah, I think it still has an opportunity to get a little bit bigger and develop a spike, so hopefully, but the other growths on this didn't develop as well or as big as I would have liked, so hopefully I'll see, yeah, another flower spike on this one. And the last one out here is my Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry, and I'm really sorry it's super dim out here and overcast, so apologise for the lighting, but this is a new plant for me. This is my one and only bulbophyllum, but it's a nice going plant, and I got it early October actually, and it had 3 new growths that developed, and the third one isn't doing anything, but these 2 you can see have something growing on the side, and so I'm not sure if these are new growths or flower spikes, but you can see the rhizome on this girl comes out perpendicularly kind of, and you can see like on this old pseudobulb that there was maybe a flower spike that tried to develop, and it's pointing upwards but it's dried up, and that looks a lot like what's developing here. So yeah, I'm hopeful, very hopeful that it's a flower spike, but I don't know. Maybe if any of you guys have this plant, you could tell me what you think. So we'll end the video here in my fowl room, which is strange because it's still pretty much summer, but the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks has been really strange here in Brisbane. So it started getting cooler, and I thought autumn was coming, and the weather was really lovely in the 20s Celsius, and then it suddenly changed again, and we had, you know, temperatures in the high 30s, and it was disgusting and stinking hot. So it's a little bit cooler again this week, but still hitting maybe 30, 31 degrees, and it's certainly still summer in my book. So, you know, most of these guys actually, with the heat again, started developing leaves again, but 2 of them ended up developing flower spikes. So I've got this one here, which is a no ID that I've named Fuchsia Forever, and yeah, it's got fuchsia coloured flowers. You can see a little spike poking out there, and it might actually be because this metal pot here actually gets quite cold, especially with the air conditioning on in here. It can get quite cool, and with this window open, I think it just received a little bit of a cooler hit than maybe the other fowls during that little cool spell. Well, you know, cool for Brisbane is 22 degrees Celsius. So yeah, we're a bit soft here, but this one is a new fowl allura, and it's pretty much still a seedling, a small plant. But yeah, it started developing a little spike as well. So it's growing quite slowly, and it's a skinny little spike, but you know, it is still a small plant. So yeah, I'm excited to see the first blooms on that one. So yeah, that's all my plants in spike at the moment. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know there's no blooms associated with it, but I don't know, I have a lot more spikes than I have blooms at the moment, and I thought I'd share them with you. So I hope you guys did enjoy the little tour. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. Hope you guys have a great week, and happy growing until I see you next time. Bye!